Partners employees to earn at least a living wage by 2030. And we hope that with our living wage program and with our in-depth partnership and our collaboration with you, our key partners, we can achieve this ambition. Today, we'll make a short round of introductions and dive a little bit deeper into the concept of living wages and the living wage business case. We will walk through the various steps of the program with special attention to the first step, which is measuring the living wage gap. We try to answer any questions you have as much as possible. We also like to prepare you already for the salary matrix training session that is scheduled for the 4th of September, and you were already invited for this session. And that's organized by our friends of the IDH. Also, throughout this session, I would like to hear a little bit more about your motivation to join this program and the challenges and maybe also opportunities that you expect in your journey towards achieving and maintaining a living wage. But before we start with the introduction, I would like to hand over the word to Lucas to elaborate a little bit more about his motivation behind achieving living wages.
All right. Good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. Listen, first of all, thank you for taking the time to join in this session and in this program. And you know, when asked about the importance of living wage, my answer would be as follows, and I will try to make it a bit personal. You know, my own purpose in life is to pass on this company to the next generation without limiting them in the choices they will make or the decisions they have to make. And for me, this means that any choice or any decision is fine as long as it does not harm the family, our family, let's say for me privately, or the business, this business. Now, saying it, this is not just applicable to my own private life, but more generally, we do not want the next generation to be limited in the choices and decisions they want to make, be it my children, your children, or whoever, the next generation more general. From a professional point of view, this means we have to run the company in the most sustainable way possible, where each and every next generation has a future within the company or outside the company, as long as they are free to make this choice. The living wage is an important part of any sustainable business model. And we feel it's crucial to be successful in the long run. Living wage for me personally means not living, means living and not just surviving. It means stability. It means a future for everyone within the professional environment and within someone's private environment. And as far as I'm concerned, it also means the lowest cost solution in the long run. Better motivated colleagues, less resignation, better quality, better efficiency, and so on. So, in short, for me personally, but also for LC Packaging, paying a living wage means creating reciprocal, beneficial relationships, you know, among the relevant stakeholders within society, the environment, but also the economy as a strategy to enhance performance. Because at the end, if we want to be successful in the long run, it means we also have to be profitable in the long run, and not only profitable from a financial point of view, but profitable from all angles. So that would be, in short, my motivation, my personal motivation, but also from a LC Packaging point of view to really make this program a success. And the funny thing is, or the funny thing I think what is interesting is that if I look back in my own working life in 32 years, we have always been, let's say, involved in our production partners, in where they stand, how they develop. But I think the last years we also realized that living wage is probably easy said, and it's all from a more holistic point of view. Everyone understands it, but what it really means in each and every part of the world is not so clear. And that, I think, is also something why we started this program, to really get a clear picture of what living wage means, not only in India or Bangladesh, but also in the Netherlands or in Hungary or in Belgium or in any part of the world. That's it for me, Lotte.
Thank you, Lucas. Thank you very much. Thank you for this, I think, inspirational introduction. Let me share my screen again to continue. And then let's continue with the introduction. Let me see if this is, there we go. All right. So for the ones who don't know me yet, I think most of you do, but not everyone. My name is Lotte Maswijk. I am head of sustainability at LC Packaging, and I'm the project lead of this living wage program. And on this slide next to me is a lovely Sanne Penning, who is joining this session today as well. She is our data and reporting expert, and she's also a key user of the salary matrix tool, which you are going to use to in the first phase to measure or to calculate the living wage gap. And Sanne will also be there to help you throughout this whole progress every time when you have questions or difficulties to help you fill out the tool. Furthermore, we have some more guests from LC Packaging joining. Next to Lucas, we have Sander Bregman, Product Manager Jute. I think we also have Allard van Asselt, Product Group Manager. Karen Oostendorp, Product Manager Netbags. We have our Director of South Africa, Richard Green. Welcome. I haven't seen if Boudewijn is joining as well. Maybe he is. Otherwise, well, Boudewijn, Director Agri. I think many of them are familiar faces. And we also have a special guest coming from our production site, our joint venture of Dutch Bangla Pak in Bangladesh, Mrs. Maria Tripti. And she is joining today more as a silent listener, but Dutch Bangla has already experience in implementing a living wage and in a later stage of this program, so not today, but in a later stage of this program, Dutch Bangla will share the challenges and the best practices in implementing these living wages and maintaining these wages. And then, well, we of course have participants from our production partner side. To start with Cheviot, let's start in alphabetical order. Everybody's equally important. And Cheviot is one of our newest jute production partner for jute bags. We have been working with Cheviot now for about 4 years, I think, Utkarsh. And you are already, you are an important producer because you produce basically high quality jute products, and you are really an outstanding jute conglomerate, I think we could say. High social standards, good ethical practices. Cheviot has about 5,000 employees and is recently rewarded with the bronze medal for EcoVadis. So again, congratulations on that. And Mr. Utkarsh, welcome. I would like to ask you to unmute yourself and to introduce yourself and also your two colleagues that you brought today. I think Mr. Abhishek and Mr. Aditya. And as Lucas has shared his motivation to start this program and basically LC Packaging's motivation, can you also please share your motivation behind joining this program?
Thank you for the introduction. It's been a pleasure to work with LC Packaging for the last 4 to 5 years. And I think, we have developed some interesting niches together, and we're working on more sustainable projects and practices. With regards to the living wage program, honestly, it was something it's a very interesting concept for us. Firstly, to assess where we stand. And as a very large employer, very labor-intensive industry, it's it's becoming more and more challenging for us as well to get a workforce. So I think if we could ensure a living wage for our community, that would definitely be beneficial. Of course, we have to understand the economics of it. We want to work towards achieving these standards. And I think having a partner like you to help and guide us will be very helpful in the process. And, from our team, we have Abhishek Murarka and Aditya Banerjee, who will be assisting us in all these projects. So we're looking forward to it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Utkarsh. Secondly, we have LC Shankar, which is basically a joint venture of LC Packaging with Shankar Packaging in India. Well, LC Shankar was established in 2012, if I'm correct, based in South Africa and a producer of big bags, FIBCs for the African continent. And LC Shankar just finished their brand new building, their brand new factory, according to very high social and environmental standards. It's a very decent place to work, I would say, for the over 200 employees. Lisa, can I ask you to unmute yourself, introduce yourself and your colleagues that you brought, and share your motivation?
Yes. Richard, are you happy with that? Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Modi. I'm the operations manager for LC Shankar. I'm joined today with Tobani. He's head of HR as well. And Richard Green is the regional director. So, yeah, I think our motivation is very much in line with LC Packaging, and I like the statement that Lucas made. It's really about living and not just surviving, and it's something that we would like to ensure that we could find out how we can reach those goals together with LC Packaging and make it a better work environment for our people here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, then we have Pakapim, owned by the Piesens family. It's an important stakeholder for many years already for LC Packaging, many years, and also since 2003 a shareholder of the LC Packaging group. From the Pakapim factories, our factory in Hungary is joining, corrugated cardboard packaging producer. And Pakapim Hungary has made a lot of investments in the past years, resulting in a very modern factory. Tom, can you introduce yourself and Adrian and share your motivation?
Absolutely. So my name is Tom Piesens. I'm responsible for sales in Hungary. And I do some other things as well, at least I try to. And I'm also joined by Adrian, who is responsible for quality management in Pakapim Hungary. She would like to remain on the background today, but I'm sure you will hear from her in the future. Why I think living wage is very important is if you're a company, I think you provide an added value to society. And with a company, the people who work for you make or break that company. So I think that added value you offer to society should also account for the people who are working for you. So I think giving a living wage is the bare minimum you can do as a company for the people who work for you, basically. That being said, I also think it's very interesting because in Hungary, the last years, there was, like this year, there was 17% inflation. And with inflation, the basis of the wages are constantly changing in a country like Hungary. So I think it will be very interesting to see where we stack up with the current wage package we offer for our people compared to the dynamic environment Hungary is currently facing. So that, for me, are the most important things.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely a challenge. It's a challenge that we face all around the world. A lot of inflation. Sometimes like 10% even, and how to keep up with that, and are we still in line? Yeah, thank you, Tom. And then last but definitely not least, Plastipak. We have been working with Plastipak for over 25 years now. They are located in Sri Lanka, which is beautiful and very worthwhile visiting. I heard from Karen. They are part of the Pope's Packaging Group in Australia, and Plastipak is a production partner for lino mesh bags, and they are one of the few production facilities worldwide who are able to produce such a high quality of this type of bags. They constantly improve themselves by investing and maintaining a high quality standard, and they're also very much known here for their excellent customer service. Mr. Dilip, I know you're already only 2 weeks now as a general manager, but maybe you would like to introduce yourself, the colleagues that you brought today, and the motivation to join this program as well.
Yeah, I'm Dilip here again. Just started 2 weeks back as a general manager here. So I have 2 colleagues. One is Indika, who is my factory manager, and then Gayan, who is the management accountant, but he handles the front end, the customer communication part of Plastipak. So for me, the motivation for joining this type of program is like our people is our biggest asset. Though yes, we have invested a lot on machinery, but you still need people to run them and manage them. So as a country, Sri Lanka went a lot of challenges last year with inflation, currency depreciation, and all that. So we have done a lot to the people, but we can quantify it and we can compare, benchmark us with this type of program. So that's my motivation and see where we are compared to other companies in the world. So that's my motivation.
Yeah, it's a really good start to see just where you are, huh? and how big a challenge would be. I think that it's always good to look into that. Well, thank you very much for this introduction and for sharing your motivation. A little bit later this session, I will get back to you and ask you about the challenges that you foresee in implementing a living wage, but also the opportunities that you think it will bring. But for now, I would like to move forward to just go simply to the living wage and what exactly is a living wage and why is it important. And the Global Living Wage Coalition has created 3.5 minutes video, so it's about 3.5 minutes, explaining the concept of a living wage. So I would like to start that video now. If you don't hear any sound, it should work, but if you don't hear any sound, let me know.
What is a living wage and why is it important? A living wage means that wages should be enough for workers to support themselves and their families without working overtime. Let's go on a journey to see what it means for one family. This is Maria. She works packing bananas at a local plantation in the Dominican Republic. Even though she works many hours, she still makes only $134 per month. Maria's husband, Oscar, used to work in construction. He had full-time work and was able to take home a consistent paycheck. But then, he was injured on the job and had to stop working. Now Oscar works part-time driving a local bus, but the work isn't consistent. Oscar makes about $84 per month. Together, Maria and Oscar make approximately $218 per month to support their family. This is Maria and Oscar's family. They have 2 children, Jose and Isabel. This is the average size family in the Dominican Republic. Maria and Oscar do their best to care for their family, but money is tight and it's tough to make ends meet. This is their house. They've rented it for years, but they can't afford the repairs. Sometimes they feel like the walls might just fall down around them. Their housing costs are more than $55 each month, which is over a fourth of the money they bring in. Maria and Oscar also work hard to keep food on the table. They often eat family meals with their neighbors. Everyone helps pull their wages so they can afford to eat meat once a week. Most of the time, though, everybody goes to bed a little bit hungry. Maria and Oscar also struggle to pay for other things that their family needs, like clothes and fuel for their motorbike. All these costs add up. Maria and Oscar take it day by day to find a way to make ends meet. With cost of food, transport, clothes, and healthcare, Maria and Oscar are already spending beyond their monthly income. Then one day, Jose catches a fever and nothing they do brings it down. When his fever spikes, Maria and Oscar have no choice but to call an ambulance to take him to the local hospital. Slowly, at the hospital, Jose starts to get better. However, the costs are high. Maria and Oscar usually spend about $32 on healthcare costs. The emergency hospital costs add up to more than they earn in a month. With these extra costs, they can't afford to pay rent, so they take out a loan. As the loan payments grow, Maria and Oscar find themselves sinking deeper into debt just to cover their basic costs. Finally, they decide to sell their motorbike to make up some of the rent. However, this isn't enough. They can't afford to buy new clothes, so Jose and Isabel wear the same clothes even after they have outgrown them. They also have to cut back on the food. They replace their meat with pasta. Everyone becomes just a little bit hungrier at bedtime. Maria and Oscar start to worry more about Jose and Isabel's health. They just barely manage to cover rent each month. The cracks in the walls seem to get bigger by the day. They don't know what to do. Maria and Oscar's story is not unique. Around the world, almost 400 million workers live below the poverty line and face these same challenges because they are not paid a living wage. We envision a world in which anyone who works full-time can afford a decent lifestyle for themselves and their families. The living wage can break the cycle of poverty for millions of workers and create a more just and equal world for all of us.
All right. So to summarize, earning a living wage means the basic cost of living for a family is attainable by the adult wage earner or earners each month. A living wage is paid when a worker received remuneration that is sufficient to afford a decent standard of living for the worker and her or his family in their location and time. And elements of a decent standard of living include food, water, housing, education, healthcare, transportation, clothing, and other essential needs, including the provision of unexpected events. So if we look at the business case for a living wage, and I think also Lucas has shared parts of these business cases, but also you when you shared your motivation. First of all and foremost, we believe that we have a duty of care towards our employees. That's also what Tom basically said. Secondly, living wages also become a priority on the global agenda. The United Nations Global Compact calls upon businesses to pay all their employees a living wage, regardless of their employment status, whether it's a permanent worker, for example, or a contractor, and as well to progressively extend that ambition to a fair compensation commitment for all workers in the supply chain. We see it also on local agenda. Living wages become a topic. Unions are more and more putting effort in the topic of living wages, like the Union of LC Shankar, for example, in South Africa. And also strikes are organized by workers in various industries around the world for workers demanding a living wage. Like I think only a couple of weeks ago in India, when Uber employees organized a strike and with relation to living wages. Next to that, there's also legislation coming up towards living wages. The EU has introduced the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive, the SCDDD. The CSDDD, sorry, forcing at least European companies to take responsibility for the well-being of the people and the environment in their value chains. And this includes ensuring human rights are met, and that includes living wages, as a living wage is a human right. For suppliers of companies based in Europe, so also for you, it becomes a license to operate, to also show that you pay living wages. I think making sure that our colleagues can afford a decent standard of living is matching our values as a family company. And I think as many of you are also family companies, or at least our key production partner, it should match your values as well. And by paying living wages and ensuring that maybe also your suppliers pay a living wage, you build what they call supply chains resilience, and you mitigate human rights issues. Basically, and this is also what Lucas said, employees who can afford a decent standard of living, they are healthier, they are happier, they are harder working, they have less worries, and therefore they probably make less mistakes as well in the production process. So implementing a living wage, and that's also something that Dutch Bangla, our production site in Bangladesh, can also confirm later on in this program, increases the quality and the speed of the production. It reduces retention, and it's reducing costs related to, for example, the quality failures, or, for example, employees in which you have investing in leaving the company due to maybe health issues, or, for example, due to better wage opportunities elsewhere. I think also an extra benefit is that employees who earn a living wage do not have to send their children to work, but the children can go to school. It is also an investment in human capital, and it ensures employee engagement. Employees really want to work with an employer where they get a salary that is helping them to have a decent standard of living and not to worry too much, just like the people we saw in the video. And being a living wage employer also provides a competitive business advantage, basically because of everything I have just mentioned, which is also leading to brand enhancement and improved reputation. And this reputation automatically appeals to, for example, also other potential customers sharing the same values and who are also willing to pay a fair price. So before we move towards the second part of this session and to elaborate on the living wage program itself, I would like to ask you to share your thoughts on the challenges that you think you might face during this journey towards implementing or maintaining a living wage, but also the opportunities that you think you're going to see. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. As we just started with Cheviot and ended with Plastipak, maybe Mr. Dilip, you would like to start and share your ideas here. What would be challenges and what would be opportunities?
Well, challenges will be because of the country situation where the inflation and the exchange rate is fluctuating erratically, like it's not stable. So don't know how it will affect this calculation. So that's one challenge that I foresee, but there must be some mechanisms in the tool to mitigate that probably.
Yeah.
And opportunities as like as you said, like it's more retaining the people, the good people, and then improving the processes with the people who will grow with us, with the company.
Yeah, thank you for that. Tom Bakkepiem?
Yeah, I agree with the previous speaker. No, basically, I think that the biggest challenges is indeed matching it with the current economic environment. It's a really hard time to do it, and I think everybody is aware of that. But on the other hand, I think in Hungary it should be okay. But then again, as I explained, the current situation, there could be surprises. So in that sense, it will be optimizing everything within the company to see if it can be matched to the current economic situation. And I think that is the challenge for most people. And I do agree with that, absolutely.
Yeah. And an opportunity? Do you see an opportunity in?
Opportunities is investing in human capital for me is a basic one. Like I said, I do believe, and I'm a firm believer in this, that the people make the company, and so retaining good people and having good people in the company and investing in them, I think is absolutely essential to the growth of the company. And you make the people, you invest in the people, people grow, and I think the company grows with that. And I think that is the most important thing.
Thank you. Lisa?
Yeah, I think definitely the end result would still be to maintain business profitability. And I think one of our highest costs would be manpower cost already. So I think finding a way on growing that while still maintaining a good profitability would be a huge challenge for us. But the opportunity in that would be obviously when our people are happy, we get the best out of them, and I think that will be a great opportunity for us, that we will definitely get the best of the people that are here if we take care of them the way we should. Yeah.
Thank you. Richard, I just passed you because I thought, well, Lisa Lisa has really good input here, but is there anything you would like to add?
No, I think Lisa summed it up absolutely perfectly. I think it is a very real challenge that in the manufacturing environment, our biggest cost is our raw material cost, and our second biggest cost is our wage bill. So it is a really serious issue it's one thing to just say it, but to actually do it and to live it is very it's going to be tough. It's not just easy to do.
No. Thank you very much. Mr. Utkarsh.
I think the opportunity definitely is, having motivated, engaged employees and team, and that would lead to better results. Definitely, obviously, also the recognition from our consumers like yourselves that we are following the living wage program. It would probably give us a little extra in terms of price versus competition. I mean, that being said, similar to what others said. about 25 to 30% of our manufacturing cost is manpower. So it's a very substantial portion, and whether we are able to pass that on or not, the increase in that cost on or not is the biggest challenge, obviously. If we are looking at, again, it depends what the living wage is and how we analyze that, and the economics of that are very critical, naturally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can change every year, of course. If you have a huge inflation, then that could be could have an effect. Yeah, definitely. I do hear a lot of similar things, even though we are spread around the world a little bit in this group, and we're also producing different types of packaging, even different materials. But I think we do share the same potential challenges and also, of course, see the same opportunities. So yeah, I think that's really good to see. Let me share again. There we go. Well, then I would like to move on to the second part of this session. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, I think you can see the slides, right? And to elaborate a little bit more on the living wage program, well, we have properly introduced ourselves. We talked a little bit more about the living wage. We have looked into the business case, the challenges and the opportunities. So then the living wage program. Our living wage program, the LC Packaging's living wage program, is inspired by what we call the IDH roadmap on living wages and the United Nations Global Compact living wage analysis tool. And it consists of 5 steps designed to help our production partners, which is basically you, achieve and maintain living wages. And you have received a manual already. You have walked through it already. And I will walk through it once again. And let's see if there are any questions popping up. The program includes measuring the living wage gap, which is the first step, defining a living wage strategy, report on progress, verifying the living wage, basically proof of compliance. And last but not least, we ask you to share your learnings and your best practices to inspire and to help others in the packaging supply chain to achieve the same. And as we already saw, we have some similar challenges. It would be very helpful maybe also in the process to share those the actions that are taken and maybe solutions for these challenges as well amongst each other. So I suggest I walk through the steps one by one, and after each step explanation, you can raise your hand in case you have any questions, or you just click on mute and interrupt me because I might not see all the raised hands, or maybe Sonny, you can keep an eye on the hands that are raised in case you have any questions. To start with the first step, and I think this is an important step because we're going to start with this actually already on the 4th of September, or actually basically now. The first step towards ensuring a living wage is to understand whether a living wage is actually paid. And this is done by measuring the gap between the effective wages and a credible, what they call a credible living wage benchmark, a benchmark that is representing living wage conditions locally in your area where you operate. And for this, we're going to make use of what they call the salary matrix, which was created by IDH. And in this salary matrix, you can upload wage information, both monetary information and in-kind benefits as well. And the tool shows what your workers are actually paid on a guaranteed basis for standard working hours. And that standard working hours have to do with your local standard working hours compared to a credible living wage benchmark. IDH and LC Packaging organize a training session on the 4th of September for which you have an invitation already to provide support throughout the process of filling out that tool. And there's also an e-learning site available. And the result of filling out this tool is what we call a wage gap report, which basically acts as valuable input to create an action plan in step 2 towards achieving and maintaining a living wage. What you also will receive is what they call the GTU, the gap per trade unit, which is the surcharge needed per product to be able to remunerate a living wage to all your employees right now. So if there is a gap between a living wage and the actual wages, so what would the surcharge be per product that you sell to be able to remunerate a living wage for all employees? And also in this first step, we ask you to perform what they call a salary matrix check. It's to make sure that all the data was entered according to the salary matrix guidance, to identify possible errors or elements missing in the matrix. And this salary matrix check is conducted by a licensed salary matrix check auditor. They really exist. Salary matrix check auditor. This check includes like a 1.5 hour virtual interview, so via Teams probably. It's more like an assessment, and it's an interview with appropriate staff who filled out the matrix tool to go over the work and compensation structure by type of worker contract and the job category to see if and this is something that we ask you to do the first time to see if this tool was filled out correctly. There are some costs involved. That would be good to already mention that. The use of the tool, the salary matrix tool, is completely for free. The living wage benchmark with which you're going to compare your effective wages in this tool might involve some cost to purchase them. There are multiple methodologies. There's we will share with you an overview of that. There's something that's called the Anchor methodology. Those benchmarks are freely available, but there are other methodologies that might be more applicable, the typical family methodology, for example. And these benchmarks do cost between the 450 and 800 euros to purchase. IDH has provided a 30% discount if you purchase these via their website. But the explanation about these methodologies, the explanation about how to purchase these benchmarks will be given in the next session on the 4th of September. There are also some costs involved for the salary matrix check, about 450 to 500 euros, but these costs will be bared by LC Packaging. The timeline for this first step is basically from now, starting now, today, till the end of this year. So what we ask you to do before the end of this year is to fill out the salary matrix and have the salary matrix check performed. So we can start the new year fresh with the wage gap report and the GTU and start conversations on and help you out with how to set up a strategy to implement a living wage or to maintain a living wage if the outcome is that you already pay a living wage. Any questions so far?
I don't see anyone, Lotte. No.
All right. Then we'll move to the second step. And this is to the step to define a living wage strategy. So based on the living wage gap report and the GTU, and with help of available tools such as the IDH Living Wage Action Guide and the United Nations Global Compact Living Wage Analysis Tool, a strategy to achieve and to maintain a living wage by at least 2030 has to be defined. And in this phase, LC Packaging expects a dialogue to discuss challenges, potential actions that can be taken, but also mapping the responsibilities of the buyer, which is LC Packaging, and you as a production partner, because we really recognize that as a buyer, we have some responsibilities as well to enable you to pay a living wage to your employees. And like Mr. Utgars also said, that might be paying a higher price for products if that's needed in the upcoming years, for example, and also sell these what we call them maybe living wage products towards our customers. So we can base this dialogue on the wage gap report and the GTU, which is basically that surcharge needed per product to be able to remunerate a living wage to all employees. And to ensure actions are actually contributing to a better livelihood for your workers, we strongly recommend, we basically ask you to also organize a dialogue with your local trade unions, if there are any, worker councils or other employee representatives, to better understand what the actual need is of your employees towards a decent standard of living. Is it healthcare that they are lacking right now, or is it basically money for transportation to go to work? And that could be anything, but to really understand what is needed, I think it's good to have that dialogue with employee representatives. And maybe in this phase, if you are a partner with multiple customers, it might be interesting to also join more customers in this journey. Yeah, so other buyers like us, because if we are the only buyer trying to help you to achieve this living wage and others don't, then it's also really difficult to reach that level. And maybe also other organizations that are specialized in implementing living wages could be involved in this phase, like maybe the IDH. So the result of that would be an action plan, including a set of combined actions to ensure a living wage by at least 2030. And the timeline for that, we would say, it's quite a lot of work to do. It's gaining a lot of understanding of how to actually implement that living wage or maintain a living wage. So we would say the year of 2024 would be an excellent year to look into that, based on the calculations that you're going to make right now, the measurements that you're going to make right now. Any questions so far?
You are very clear. I don't see any hands or questions, Lotte.
All right.
Lotte, can I ask you something? Because about let's say the tools, I think in any part of the world you also have to take into account that you are part of a society, and you have companies around you, probably because you're in an industrial zone or whatever, who might also have a strategy to pay living wage or not, a different strategy. And that could either work together or it could be a conflict.
Yeah.
Is that something we take into account also? Because, for example, and maybe Maria, she can tell later a bit. I remember when we started Dutch Bangla that initially paying living wage brought us a lot of conflict with companies surrounding us who were paying less, and that this gave some tension within, let's say, the community and within business owners.
Right.
Now, you could also look at it opposite, that you might do it together, with companies being around you. So,
yeah.
Anyway, this was just in my mind.
Yeah, I think that's really good. That's something that we didn't put into this overview. Something that I didn't really think about, but it's something that could emerge and could become an opportunity or an issue. And for that we also might need some best practices and some help to see what to do there. Yeah.
And so instead of dialogue with workers, it could also be dialogue with
other stakeholders,
with your competitors, or with companies surrounding you or in the same type of industry, to see what can we do together and how can we also avoid conflicts.
Yeah.
Because that's what you don't want. You don't want to start something good and end up bad.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah. Anyway, it just came in my mind. I just throw it on the table and.
Yeah, so that's also why I think it's really good to take a little bit of time for this, to really talk with the different stakeholders involved and to see what are the actual challenges, and what are the actual opportunities, and how to overcome such challenges. And there are a lot of best practices around, but in the end, it's a tailor-made solution, basically. Yeah. Thank you for that. The third step, report on progress, and this is what we heard before, as economic conditions and the cost of living is constantly subject to change, for example, due to inflation. The wage data entered in the salary matrix tool has to be updated annually to keep track on the wage gap. So it's really easy. You don't have to upload everything again. It's just you can adjust some data and to see where you are. And accordingly, we will ask you to share your wage gap reports with us on an annual basis. That way we can see progress towards closing that living wage gap, or still maintaining a living wage, for example. Additionally, we would love to discuss on an annual basis the progress towards that living wage, including actions taken, remaining challenges, such as the challenge that Lucas just mentioned. And also, this discussion will include the progress that we make in terms of our responsibility towards facilitating a living wage for you as well. basically the result is an annual measurement on progress towards achieving the living wage goal. And well, in terms of timeline, we ask you to to provide us an update in terms of a living wage report and a dialogue on an annual basis until at least 2030, but probably also beyond. Any question on this step?
No, no questions.
All right. Verification of a living wage. So in case the wage gap report shows that a living wage is paid, and that could be the case already in this first measurement, this report has to be audited by a living wage auditor. This is not a salary matrix check, it's an audit to confirm that you pay a living wage, which is your proof of compliance. And today, the IDH has a trained group of auditors to perform such a living wage audit, but the expectation, and I think it's also worthwhile waiting for that, is that in the short term, the living wage audit can be included in existing audit schemes, such as the SMETA audit. And many of you are a member of SEDEX, you're performing a SMETA audit on a regular basis. So you can also include your living wage or your wage gap report in your SMETA audit, or even in your SA 8000 certification process, if you're SA 8000 certified. To have it audited and to be able to show the outside world your proof of compliance and the fact that you are a living wage employer. Today's licensed auditors can be found on the IDH website, but again, it would be worthwhile to wait a couple of months to audit this, to have it audited in an existing audit scheme. So what's the result? The result is proof of compliance that the living wage is paid, that the goal is achieved, and the living wage criteria for LC Packaging's key production partners is met, as described in the Code of Conduct for key production partners, the Code of Conduct that you all received and have signed. And the timeline for this basically is no later than by 2030. But if you already pay a living wage, then please have it audited beforehand. Please note that only after having it audited, so not your salary matrix check, but actually the audit, you can make living wage statements externally. So you can say you are a living wage employer. So I think, it would be a very good way to prove your compliance there. I will go and also describe the last step, and then I will ask if there are some questions left on the fourth and the fifth step. And the last step is basically share best practices. So I said that before, as achieving a living wage in our supply chain is beneficial for many thousands of families. And as a packaging manufacturer, you face similar challenges, even though you are located around the world or you have a different type of packaging that you produce. So we ask you to share your best practices throughout the process, because sharing this best practices with peers and learning from each other boosts energy, cuts down costs, and it cuts down time. It ensures not having to reinvent the wheel all the time. It can inspire one another. And LC Packaging will facilitate and initiate a dialogue between the peers and create a platform to also share your best practices. So the result would be that the peers in the value chain are motivated and supported in their journey towards a living wage, but also you can learn from it yourself as well, all through the program. The timeline for this is ongoing, and we will ask you to share your experiences a couple of times throughout this program. So to summarize, a living wage in 5 steps: measuring the living wage gap, which is the first step; defining a living wage strategy, which can be done afterwards and in the year 2024; report on progress annually; verify your living wage anytime as your wage gap report says you are paying a living wage, because it's something that you can use as a proof of compliance also in assessments towards your customers as well; and share your best practices. Any questions on these 5 steps? And specifically the final 2.
I don't see any questions, Lotte.
All right. So In the upcoming 3 months, we will start with the first step, measuring the living wage gap. And for that, you will need a little bit of a preparation, a little bit of help. And that help will come in the form of Sanne, for example, helping you with filling out the salary matrix tool, and coming from the IDH, our partner, who will organize the training session on the 1st of September. We need a little bit of preparation for that. We will send you an email after this session as well with a little bit of explanation. But what we're asking you to do in the run-up to the 4th of September is to, first of all, create a salary matrix account, which is completely for free. And you don't have to fill out anything yet. It's just creating the account. And secondly, conduct one of the e-learning courses that the IDH has available. Sanne, I think it's a 1-hour course, or maybe less even.
Even less, and it will you will see it easily. It's not hard to do the e-learning, and you will learn a lot from it. So I really suggest to do the e-learning before the 4th of September.
Yeah,
This will make your life way easier. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. It will make your life easier. Okay, so we will share the link of that e-learning course as well. And what we're also going to share already is what we call the salary matrix upload file. That's an Excel sheet, if I'm correct. And this is a sheet that you are going to have to fill out, not before the 4th of September, afterwards, but you're going to have to fill out with all the data related to your wages. So monetary data, but also in-kind benefits. And this file will be uploaded in your salary matrix, and based on that data, you can extract your living wage gap report. And what we're asking you to do is, because we share this file beforehand, is to take a look at the file and let us know by next week Wednesday whether you already foresee any challenges with collecting certain types of data, for example, or if some type of data that you think or that are requested in this sheet you have questions about, or you don't really know what that data would mean. Because if you do so, we can already prepare for the 4th of September and answer your questions there, and also help you with best practices to overcome the challenges to fill out this file. So we will send you an email after this session with a link to the salary matrix account, with a link to the e-learning course, and with this salary matrix upload file. So with that, we basically come to an end. I hope this session provided interesting and motivating information, and your questions for this stage of the process are answered. If there are any questions left, and you would like to share some thoughts about this program, you can definitely do so now. I do see Sanne, so Sanne will see if you're raising your hands, or otherwise unmute and let me know.
I think that
And of
everyone
course,
needs to think about it.
Yeah, I can
don't
imagine.
see questions.
And of course, after
Lucas
this
is
session,
typing.
oh, Lucas is typing. Good.
Lucas is typing.
All right, let's wait for that. Thanks. All right. Of course, also, if you have questions or comments or ideas after this session, you know where to find me, you know where to find Sanne. And if no further questions or comments for now, I think I would like 2 minutes before the end, I would like to close this session. We see you on Monday, the 4th of September. And I think on behalf of the whole LC Packaging team, thank you very much for joining. It's very much appreciated. Thank you much for your input during this session. We wish you all the best and good luck in the upcoming months. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day.
Cheers, Lotte. Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks to you all.
Thank you, Lotte.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Lotte. Thanks.
Thank you, man.